Hi, I'm Jim Knotts, President and CEO of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Welcome to today's virtual reading of the names. 2022 marks the 40th anniversary of the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. As part of our commemoration, we'll host an in-person reading of the names at the wall from November 7th through 10th, 2022, when all 58,281 names on the wall will be read aloud. In the lead up to that event, we'll be reading names each day online while sharing the photos of these heroes. For our daily virtual reading, the names of the service members will be read by month and day of death between the years 1956 and 1975 in alphabetical order for the given day. We apologize in advance for any mispronunciations. Know that our readers are doing their best to honor these service members. We hope you'll listen and watch each day and share with others as we remember and honor those who gave their lives during the Vietnam War.
Hector Santos Acevedo, James Dwight Anderson, Warren Charles Anderson, Clarence Ray Angus, Frank Charles Armijo, Glenn Charles Bayer, Wilson Paul Bailey, William Emanuel Baker, James Christoph Becker, Brian John Bennett, George Joseph Bodner, Bay Benton Booth, Roger Dale Bowman, Larry Earl Bowman, John Franklin Boyce, John Michael Bozinski, Harry G. Brannon, James Foster Brooks, Roger David Brown, Fred Brown Jr., David Allen Buyalski, Henry Butler, Jerry Eugene Butts, Daniel Edward Carey, Woodrow Beale Chastain, Tyrone Chapman, Harry Edward Chesser, Ricky Wayne Church, James Lee Coachman Jr., Bobby J. Kaufelt, Clifford Kent Coons, Curtis Cooper, Charles Frederick Crichton, Robert Edward Crowley, William Mark Croy, Lawrence Charles Dean, Sanchez Alejo del Valle, Douglas R. Dickerson, Jr., Michael C. Dundas, Gordon Patterson Eady, Philip John Essig, Patrick J. Fleming, Roland Louis Florio, Manuel Louis Font, Ellen George French, Chester Leon Goins, Scott Thomas Graber, Johnny Graham Jr., Kanye Green, Herbert Michael Haddon, Alan Bates Harriman, Steve Westlill Harris, Vernon Hart, John Lewis Hawkins Jr., Kenneth Hawsey, Humberto Robles Hernandez, Taryn Dinsmore Hicks, Oscar K. Higginbotham Jr., Donald Ray Hilliard, James William Hunley, Frederick E. Huddy III, Sanford Levon Jackson Jr., Ben Jackson Jr., Robert Victor Kemp,
James Keith Knutson, Robert Allen Colas, Jackie Eugene Landers, James Thomas Langela, Richard Douglas Laxon, David Burnett Lentz, Michael Lee Lewis, Raymond Liggins, Ronald Harry Lofton, Earl Wayne Long, Byron Nelson Ludwig, Raymond George Mass, James Washington Matthews, James Joseph McCormick, Terry Keith McDonnell, Paul McEachran, John Eddie McGuire, Harvey Joseph McSwain, Michael Edward Means, James Eldry Milligan, Joseph William Mitchell, Darrell Lee Moore, James Richard Morley, Archie Lee Nelson Jr., David Allen Nolan, Earl John Overacker, James Ronald Parker, James Edward Phillips, Paul Ponce, Anthony Jerome Portis, Leroy Reed Jr., Paul Michael Roberts, Ronnie Lee Robertson, Peter Alden Schmidt, James Ronald Sechrest, Darrell Keith Sharp, Robert Hazen Shields II, James Edward Showalter, Robert Vincent Simmons, James Allen Skinner, John Gerdes Smith, Fred Douglas Smith Jr., Norman Edward Snodgrass, William Harold Somerville, William Fred Sewell, James Larry Sprinkle, Raymond Steptoe, Floyd Studer, Donald L. Summers, William Edward Taylor, Fred L. Thomas, Byron Clare Tucker, Valentine Daniel Uncaffer, William Normand Ursine, William H. Van Gelder Jr., Richard John Vasconcelos, Henry Orlando Vigil, Robert K. Wagner, Brian Francis Wallace, Richard A. Waltman, Gerald Bruce Weaver, Charles White, Leroy Allen Whitlow, Boyd Lee Whitted, Augustus Lewis Williams, Michael Jerome Yarber,